get very few shots a year, and it's what a lot of these teams, a lot of these players dream for. You hope you can scrim SKT sometime in your lifetime, but getting a chance to dethrone them in the best-of-5 final, this is the culmination of the G2 players' careers so far.
Yeah, on the international stage with one of the most passionate audiences we have ever had.
And casters, of course. We're into this game. Win, come on. Let's do it. First pick a man face.
You see the MSI trophy on the line here, and tonight we will crown the best team in the world. Will it be SKT holding on to their title, or will G2 make the upset happen as we go into the picks and bans?
So, should be a Karma ban right now. Very surprised to see SKT ban away Twitch when they are, in fact, the team who's playing a lot of Twitch.
Bang is definitely the premier Twitch player here, and it feels like in scrims, he's encouraged a lot of the other AD carries to pick it up as well, and we've seen, you know, a resurgence in many of the other players that used to play him as well.
Now, for G2, they banned the 2 supports we often see banned away. Zyra was banned in every game from them against WE, and it is still an option here for Wolf to play it if it's open.
Yeah, definitely true, and the Nami as well. I mean, Wolf is interesting because while all the other, you know, supports are like, yes, Lulu / Karma are very similar, almost the same thing here, he actually hasn't even played a game of Karma at the tournament, and that's huge impact on those other peeling supports you talk about.
All right, so again, all bans are now locked in. Double hyper carry bans from SKT. They definitely do not want to allow G2 to go full late game with those, but Caitlyn is still open, and she's actually been the #1 pick for Sven when they play late game comps.
Exactly, you know, and the Ivern shields are still available, but SKT very clearly are making that move towards a more early oriented game. They've picked up the Lee Sin, crucial for Peanut. He is probably the best Lee Sin in the world.
Yes,
He
still
said it
undefeated, still undefeated here in 2017.
And now we'll see what G2's style is going to be. Looks like they do want to protect Sven in the back line. Graves is up, but they'd rather play Ivern here. So, as you mentioned, the Caitlyn, it seems very likely that gets locked in.
Yeah, they basically have to take it here, otherwise SKT can steal it away. So I think this is really smart, and I think some missed opportunities from SKT with their very first bans here. It's not exactly the key picks for G2 they're removing. I think Caitlyn has definitely been a higher priority for G2 Esports.
Thing is, SKT in a lot of their best-of-5s do kind of feel out the other team in the first game of the series, and that's why oftentimes the first game is a lot closer. This one definitely being a little bit more open. I love that Perks continues to hover the
Of course, of course. Maybe we'll see it, who knows. Zyra, obviously, for Wolf, it was banned by G2 so often. Tahm Kench is the melee support answer to her, because you can deal with the plants, but you still will struggle a bit in the laning phase.
Yeah, I'm always concerned when I see that, right? Because it is that reactionary, oh yes, you can Tahm Kench eat someone out of the Ashe arrow, but the kill pressure of the Ashe Zyra Rain is so intense that you have to worry about the early stages of the game. Even for a scaling protect the AD carry comp, SKT could blow the bottom lane wide open.
Definitely true. Now, Faker likes to blind pick his Orianna on blue side, which would allow Perks to get a last pick against it, a counter pick. And if G2 wants to keep going full late game, then there are quite a lot of mage options you can pick against it. I know Perks personally talks about like Azir as a champion that we maybe could see.
Yeah, and I definitely expect G2 to save their last pick for their mid lane and just expect on another kind of semi-supportive tankish top laner.
Just give us Galio.
Exactly.
I mean, oh, actually, Galio is a little bit of a risk versus Huni because he has already shown his Fiora, and that is the counter matchup to Galio. So needs to be careful if he wants to play that one.
Well, the Fizz ban makes me think maybe there's a Rumble coming in here because they do have a tank and a half, a tank in the support role and a half tank in this jungle position. You can go for a damage-oriented top laner. Picking Rumble blind against Huni is certainly a risk, but the comp at least fits.
And I would be worried about picking, you know, a losing top lane that's going to get pushed in and would lose teleport pressure. Because like I said, I really do, as far as this opening is concerned, expect SKT, you know, to play off of that bottom triangle of the map. One of the big things that we've seen in this tournament is pushing lanes at level 1 have been very important in jungling pathing, and Ivern is actually exploitable as far as counter jungling early on if your entire team is in on the plan for the first 5 minutes.
And with the Rumble here, we might just see Gragas come in from Huni as an answer to it. It's not like a counter matchup. Oh, Galio can be another one, like one of these two tanks, Gragas or Galio, to just farm against the Rumble and then be just a massive frontline in team fights. Orianna was actually banned away by SKT, so they didn't want to blind pick it, and it is The Cassiopeia we saw in the semifinal from Faker.
And this SKT lineup will not lack for damage in the late game. This is definitely a very secure lineup here for SKT as Faker locks in the blind pick Cassiopeia here.
But it's not really that risky because Orianna is already banned, and that is typically the mid laner people want to play against Cassiopeia.
So it's gonna end up being Jace into the mid lane for Perkz, and of course they have magic damage on the roster thanks to the Rumble top. So unlocked to play physical damage mid, and looks like a fair bit of early lane pressure here for the G2 lineup.
Definitely true, but I also think SKT actually runs quite a lot of early game, like very strong bot lane, and of course Cassiopeia's early laning is good as well.
And I do expect SKT to try and play off that bottom triangle of the map here with Peanut as far as the early pathing is going. Another thing you can do is force the enemy jungler into a path. We often see Peanut going for those invades and then having the team protect his own quadrant from a counter invade.
See, the laners can do that, of course, as time ticks down. No more thoughts to be had here in this one. G2 have relied pretty heavily on Perkz and Sven to have standout performances to carry them into these ones. SK Telecom T1, though, 10 out of 10 in every role.
Yeah, and you are going to have a lot of pressure on your shoulders for all of the carry roles on G2 because there's a tremendous amount of crowd control in the SKT lineup. Far more than G2 are working with. So the barrier of execution, much higher.
And it's not even just 1v1, 2v2 in the lanes. You have to deal with a Lee Sin jungle from Peanut. He can obviously be extremely active in the early game in terms of ganking. Trick would prefer a more slower early game, but I'm not sure SKT will give him that.
We've seen some incredible games out of SKT, and especially out of Peanut. There was the famous, 14-15 kill game earlier on when they played against the Marines. And here we have the lineups on your screen as we get ready to go into game one of the MSI 2017 final. G2 Esports representing the European LCS. A top 2 finish already satisfies a lot of their fans, but the players are always hungry for more. And meanwhile, the team everyone expects to be and remain the most dominant, SK Telecom T1, hailing from South Korea, 3-time world champions, defending MSI champions. It's almost something they haven't done
just
here.
Keep going down that list. They even won All-Star. They won it all.
SKT have won almost every tournament on the planet, and they are here to take MSI #2 as we head into the first game.
All right, let's see if they actually do try and get some of these early wards down to set up one of those invades and force Ivern into that cross-map jungling pattern here. That will reduce the efficiency of him.
30 seconds until
Quite some surprises, I feel like, from their second phase of this pick and ban. Especially from G2's side with the Jace. It's not been a pick Perkz has shown a lot lately. He's a former Jace main, all the way back at Challenge as well, before he even qualified for the LCS. He was like a one-trick Jace almost. So it's definitely a champion he's so used to playing, but it is still difficult to execute Jace in this current meta. We've seen it a few times this tournament. Very often it's a good start, but then lackluster late game.
And the other thing, when you are Perkz trying to come up with a counter pick for Faker's, Cassiopeia, it's very difficult because you also have to incorporate Peanut's Lee Sin and the early pressure that it could bring into this matchup. That plays into your mind when you're trying to take any of the early trades with Faker.
I actually just think G2 got a bit surprised with the mid lane bans coming from SKT. The fact that SKT banned Orianna, which is the most played champion for Faker and his normal blind pick, kind of caught them off guard a little bit because it allowed that Cassiopeia to be locked in.
And here are those early wards that we're talking about from G2 or from SKT to see where G2's early jungle pathing is starting. They had invades from both the Ashe and the Galio here to fully track Trick's start to this one, so Peanut can actually counter.
As Deficio sees, and as the screen was up there, Faker has had an insanely good game at Cassiopeia earlier, 67 minions up at 15 minutes. Perkz hoping to not have happened to him what happened to Maple.
Yeah, that almost never happens. It should actually never happen again, having that massive lead at 15 minutes against Maple. And not the same start here where, you can see Perkz already picked up some CS. Mabel didn't have any CS at, 2-3 minutes.
This is a bit interesting because Peanut, of course, with the wards, saw when Trick channeled, and he knows with level 2 Ivern, it's 37 seconds until that camp matures. So he's got until about 3 minutes into the game to steal if he wants to.
Yeah, and they've clearly seen that this is the common power farming route for Ivern, one of the safer routes. So Trick is just going with his same side, a little bit safer, and Peanut not going in to disrupt any of those channels. Currently, Faker trading nicely with Perkz in the mid lane there, though.
Yeah, it was a bad trade from Perkz, actually going in for those last hits, and then hit onto Faker. Bot lane, you can already see the Ashe Zyra, of course, is pushing in Tamkin and Caitlyn. That will just keep happening. And Trick on this Iron here can't really help his lane enough because they will probably lack damage and it will buy enough time for SKT to counter gank it.
Yeah, it seems like G2, exactly as Midley was saying, are playing for that calm and steady game here, especially in the opening. They've got double Doran shields coming out, you know, Perks even on the Jace in the mid lane, getting that single target damage reduction.
Perks afraid to go in for the melee last hits because Faker gets plenty of damage down. Trick reveals himself as in the mid lane, and well, he's already cleared his entire jungle, so we'll see if he can take anything away from Peanut here. He's looking to grab away these Raptors, and Trick knows better than to channel on a camp in front of an enemy jungler. Gonna let Peanut get that one.
Yeah, Peanut obviously has some very good stats on Lee Sin, not only at this tournament, but over his entire career. This tournament, though, specifically, we had that highlight game where he had 15 kills versus the Marines. Expect actually it gets the worst end of this trade in topside, though.
Yeah, if you want to learn how to play Galio in lane, just like take this one clip and just watch that entire combo from Huni. How he managed to get the maximum amount of damage on to expect and just not take any damage in return, basically.
Exactly. Trading when your shield is up, incredibly important there for him. One of the things that he did against Hanser as well, when Hanser got the Kennen counter pick into the top lane, yet Huni's still able to come out ahead.
We can watch more lanes ahead from SKT. The bot side up 5 minions so far with the push lead as well. Of course, it's what you'd expect with Ashe Zyra, but we'll see as G2 typically relies on Zen a fair bit if he can get out of this lane terribly unscathed. And honestly, the way this bot lane plays out anyway is at level 6, you just burn ultimates and hope they burn a flash and then try again at level 7. SKT happy to wait a while.
Things like Ashe and Varus, they became meta when everyone learned, okay, like level 6 ultis are really, really powerful to make plays on the bottom side to secure this bot lane tower. That obviously after the removal of lane top, I think, mid lane.
Here comes a play on a Faker, exhausted. Zon keeps away from the wall, not quick enough to slow. There's a flash to chase. First blood into Perks.
Oh my goodness! And Perks is able to get the first blood going with Jace. Incredibly good at snowballing.
He felt so confident going for the all-in because Trick was behind him, and as soon as he was on to Faker, he did not let him go.
Ivern makes it so difficult for you to escape any sort of champion in the mid lane with that gap closer because of the shield, because of the sticky Qs there as well.
Topside, yeah, not going to be enough to kill off Huni, but we are seeing some moments of greatness now from G2. You've got a 6-minion lead in the topside as he gets to reset.
And this man, Perks here has been the star for the team at this tournament. Trick is able to get through the very end of that acceleration gate, by the way, to get into range here. And Perks, no hesitation, flashing over blind. Yes, it's a possibility that Peanut could be there, but he sees it in his eyes, the kill onto Faker, and he goes for it.
And of course, and with Trick behind him, he's like confident he can take the 2v2 because Faker, obviously not level 6, no ulti to turn it around. Love the all-in, and you said it, Kobe. Perks has been the best performing member for G2. And now mid lane again!
Oh, the CC is there. There's really no way out. 2-0 for Perks. His lane kingdom is certainly under his control.
Low and steady. Oh, well, it looks like Perks is putting this into overdrive.
Wait, Mythic did want an advantage first, and then slow and steady. So right now, Perks, he's getting that advantage for G2 Esports. I like the gank from Trick. No flash from Cassiopeia. She's not getting out. What a great start in the mid lane.
It absolutely is. And if you needed a way to win the game, getting Perks 2-0 was certainly going to be one of those.
And look at this. Trick as well. He knows there's no flash. Flashes in for the guaranteed slow, and then waits for Faker to try and move around to be able to land his Q. Very nicely played. Repeat focus here. Just seems like G2 are working so much better with Trick, calling him to these areas and focusing.
I actually want to talk about that because I asked G2 yesterday, like, what happened to Trick? Why is he so good right now compared to last week? And they said they had team meetings where they were discussing, trusting each other and what they would like about each other. And it paid off. Perks is in trouble now.
It's in a 1v3. Acceleration gate buys him some space, but can SKT re-engage on this? Flash glove for Huni.
Expect does have ultimate on Rebel if they need a slow. They don't even need it.
The backup is there, and Huni's teleport turns into nothing. A great escape by Perch. No summoners available, and no summoners used.
Gets Rift Scuttler over to Peanut right now. Faker not feeling too confident in the mid lane after he's been ganked.
Yeah. And deservedly so here. I mean, this is also an Infernal Drake as the first Drake, so this definitely benefits the team getting these early kills, getting this snowballing going. Trick here with the Ivern out as well, looking for the invade. Takes Raptors instead of contesting red.
Yeah, and once again, it's all about trusting in Trick. So when he says, I'm here, I can gank, I can help you, you go for the play because you know he's there with you. And in the group stage, we saw, them hesitate. He would go in alone and he would die. It's not been happening here in the playoffs.
And I think what they need to do, well, they're going to continue to focus Faker. Can he dodge?
Round 3 in the mid lane. Root is there, and Faker pops the barrier. Gonna get knocked back, staying alive a quick second longer, and it doesn't matter. 3-0 for Perks.
So Trick is just camping the mid lane, and Peanut, he's nowhere to be seen. He's just farming and farming and farming. The wards around the mid lane are just not enough for this Cassiopeia.
And those wards should explode for G2. The vision now could be incredibly difficult for SKT to get a handle on, and that would be the first step in setting up that crucial Infernal Drake to continue the snowballing.
Perks did say before the tournament that he wanted Faker to be known as Baby Perks by the end of the MSI. Now Faker's died 3 times, obviously with help from Trick as well. But that's 3 kills to Jace.
But that is still all credit to Trick when Peanut gets his undefeated Lee Sin, the king of early game jungle champions, and it is Trick who is very clearly out-ganking Peanut, a player that, by most people's metrics, is the best jungler in the world, and Trick is outperforming him.
On Ivern versus Lee Sin as well. Incredibly impressive for G to start out this way. Now Perks is also going to be able to benefit from Ivern's double red buff here. Take that one on Jace, so it's not going to get easier for Faker.
Meanwhile, the bot lane has managed to stay even in CS. The tower's taking a little bit of damage, but not too bad for G2. Top lane is now winning in CS as well for Expect, so all the lanes are doing fine.
And the teleport will come up even earlier for G2. They've got the Rumble ultimate ready to go for this Drake. I just continue to set up this Drake, because that Infernal Drake, this is where the game really explodes. Yes, there's a good lead for G2, but as Minty talks about,
right,
you have to continue through the mid game and not give up those objectives.
Yeah, what most likely will happen is that G2 makes a power play on the map through mid lane first and then moves Perks to the bottom lane. So there's basically a free dragon that no one can contest.
Can I just shout out the casual turnaround there from Perks, getting the ultimate from Faker on Jace.
Oh, your Infernal Drake is gone now.
Equally casual steer here on the Infernal.
Oh, G2, they're going to be sad about that one. Not having a ward to actually see that the Infernal Drake was attacked.
And some of that is the bot lane pressure from SKT's duo. Trick has been ganking well, but he's only been ganking the mid lane. So Faker's pushed back, but Vang and Wolf continue to provide the safety to Peanut that he needs to take the Drake like that.
Yeah, no matter how many times we bring it up, the objectives, so important for SKT. When you get caught up in getting kills on Faker and the vision starts to explode, SKT never relent though. Peanut, very good, opportunistic steal there on the Drake.
I do want to track how G2 then uses that vision in the river, because it was something we talked a lot about yesterday, where G2 would get an early lead through mid lane and then not really get enough control ward down, so they wouldn't really choke out the enemy. Right now, you can see in the river, there is still some SKT wards and not a lot of control wards from G2. They were just killed. These are the wards remaining. And SKT actually have enough vision to still play around this mid lane with Faker. He can spot the gank now at least.
We'll see if that happens right now. Ivern pretty far behind now in the tri-brush, looking for a ward to kill, and nothing to happen for Trick right now. Mid lane pressure for Perks, though, as Faker has been pushed out of the lane. Looks like he's going to take the recall, and it's recalling right in front of a cannon wave, which will potentially mean a bit of turret pressure, at least some turret damage, as Perks is going to match the recall.
And again, remember that all of these kills are going to him. These are all going to Perks. So the lead that G2 has to be utilized if they play around Perks. So they need to create more plays with this Jace.
Yes, exactly. Mid lane pushes in, then Perks, together with Trick, they can move as a group, and they can go top lane, maybe go for a kill on Hootie. That's the risky one because he's a Galio, or then go bot lane. Squishy members.
Well, speaking of bot lane, though, we actually just saw Vang shoot out his Enchanted Crystal and hit nothing. No summon as nothing burned from G2, so that window has closed for a minute and a half.
That's actually a pretty crucial one. We always caution against when the Zyra and Ashe are both past level 6 and the kill pressure of those double ultimates. The other thing, though, is that Perkz doesn't even have to roam. Ivern is actually quite good at coming to siege down turrets, and he's chunking down that mid turret. That could just blow the map wide open.
Yeah, definitely an option as well. You see G2 on the top side here. They're trying to set up these control wards so Trick can keep ganking mid. He's coming now. Finding Faker again.
Looking for the play, 2-on-2. Peanut over the wall. Will he join? Not in range for the safeguard, but now a 1v1 Faker versus Trick. Not one that the Ivern typically wins, as Daisy now comes to support the rest of his teammates. Here comes Expect around the back. The knockup turns into Faker. The barrier doesn't even matter. Kill comes through to Expect. Nice pickup there as Wolf joins the fray. It means nothing.
And God is feeding right now before your eyes. 0-4-0 Faker. All the deaths from SKT.
What's a god to a non-believer, Kobe? Perkz, he's going for the kills with Trick, with Expect. Even Minty joins in. Everyone's just going mid to kill Faker right now.
Feasting on bread right now. The body is here for them. Perkz and the rest of G2 Esports up to a 2,000 gold lead, 15 minutes in. And for a team that was struggling with early games in the group stage, struggling with Trick as a player in the group stage, that player in this team has certainly stepped up. The win over WE was a nice upset, but now they are definitively ahead against SKT.
And you need to do this in the first game against SKT in the best of 5. We have casted so many of their big games here. Whenever you take down SKT, or at least you challenge them, it's game 1 where you really have a chance to upset them, because they normally adapt extremely well. Now Faker here, he's not using flash early, could have just gotten out of this fight straight away, but he keeps fighting because he thinks he has enough backup.
And this is the moment where people bring up hubris a lot, especially with players like Faker, where everyone's always talking about he is the best player in the world there. Stays very long. He actually wants to trade back into these heathens that have killed him.
But Trick played that fight so well mechanically. He juked backwards against the ultimate, dodged several obnoxious blasts that would have allowed the E-chain. That's not going to happen, but we still see the bastion of strength for SKT. Looking for first turret in the bot lane. Sven down to 600 health. Redemption from Ivern just to heal him up for a bit longer, but SKT can certainly crack the base down through bot lane.
Yeah, this bot lane here is going as planned for SKT. It's not about getting a kill, it's just take down that tower. Minty's going towards mid lane. Remember here, Faker wasted his flash.
Gonna race.
And the last one, they're going for mid tower.
Yeah, G2 should be able to win this race. They already have the minions there, and first turret gold is crucial in continuing this advantage.
That is incredibly important. There was not much extra time for this one. One more wave, that bot turret likely falls. So impeccable decision-making by G2 to claim first turret gold through Perkz' lane.
Just a great call under pressure. Few seconds before that, Peanut was looking for a dive in the bot lane, and then G2 just turns it around instantly with the time catch ulti.
A little bit north of Yo. Wolf down to 500 HP, flashes the wall, and looks like that's going to be enough to sate Perkz' thirst right now. 2,000 gold lead still remains for G2 as they continue to try to keep the pressure.
It is good to see Perkz playing with this confidence to charge down and get that extra summoner burn, but I would much rather see G2 have the confidence of vision. Have the confidence because they have those deep wards to be able to see that there are no members of SKT for backup there.
It must feel so good right now to be Perkz. Going into this game here, everyone is talking about now you're playing against Faker, now it's going to be so hard for you. And then together with Trick, the 2v2, or basically the 2v1, was executed so well by G2, and they pick up so many kills. Like Cassiopeia, when she's behind, is not a massive threat, because it's hard for her to get in range to deal enough damage. And there is enough CC and AoE on G2 to take her down there.
Perkz has definitely emerged as one of the big heroes here, but Expect might be the next one targeted. Can he get away from all of these ults?
SKT looking for their first kill on the board. There's the flash, dodge away some of it. Fang still saving the ultimate. Not going to put it yet onto Expect. I am actually a bit shocked. Maybe it was down a few more seconds. I think actually that was the case. Did not have the arrow available, was 90% of the way there.
Now it's up, and they just shot him.
And that's going to be Peanut against the wall. Easy kick into Q. There's going to be the kill picked off for the first one in for SKT at 16 minutes.
Can G2 get something on the other side? Seems like it's just Perkz pushing for the tower. It's a Galio. He's hard to dive, and he does offer wave clear.
And I think they should focus on the turret, on the objective. Try and get the turret down first, because they can retreat over to the neutral objectives like the Cloud Drake, and the outer turret's much more important in setting up those wards that you can now see in the red quadrant.
It's a really good thing, though, for SKT to trade objectives when you're already behind. They're getting a kill top and going to get the tower top as well. So they actually win out on this trade, maybe even Rift Herald. Even if it goes over to Peanut, it's a small win.
Exactly, and these small wins do stack up. Peanut stole that Infernal Drake. That is something that increases in value over the length of the game. And SKT are not that far behind. They've clawed right back into this one.
And it's just the amazing thing. When a team can fall behind in the mid lane, their mid laner is 0-4, and they're still able to make plays on the side lanes and actually keep this game so even. This is just their play on expect. Once he stays, well, then there's no way out, and he's going to go down.
Really liking that play, how Peanut really maximized the crowd control. Not that Effect was getting out, but Ash is going to stun, then Zyra's going to Ruse, and we'll wait longer and longer until it's finally time to ult into the wall, make sure it all happens. And see that Peanut actually was the one doing into the Rift Herald buff. He's the split pusher in a certain extent. Join in, deal a bit more damage on the ganks as first wraps up a blue buff, and of course look at the other.
Yeah, that's what I like to see, actually. The old Rift Herald buff, quite good on junglers, helps you clear quicker so that you can then go gank as well and try and help out those lanes. And SKT do need, that surprise factor of Peanut here. Now, the other thing that they have at their command, all this crowd control we mentioned. There's so many sources of CC on SKT's side that G2, even with that early lead, have to be careful. Going for Huni now, though.
Huni very tanky, but it's in a bit of a 3-on-1. Flash over the wall, means it gets followed by Perks thanks to Root Caller, but it's a very tanky Galley. The rest of the SKT showing up right onto the equalizer now. Peanut gonna be not able to help this one out as Huni falls down. The stun on Perks, redemption buys the time. Red buff gets stolen, nicely done. G2 a kill in the opposing jungle.
Yeah, really good force there by G2, knowing that Faker is top. This Cassiopeia, no way of joining that fight, so they run him down and are able to slow for the kill here.
Looks like Trick's going to be just fine on this one. G2 continuing to hold on to map control, 1700 the gold lead. It is certainly not stretching. Mithy talked about taking small, safe advantages that cannot be abused. But if you just don't stretch your lead for 40 minutes, you got to feel SKT's late game shot calling will come back to bite you.
Yeah, if you're on G2, you're most likely waiting for Baron to spawn as well and use that as an objective. Faker, he wants some revenge here.
Yeah, and not only the late game shot calling of SKT, but their scaling is quite nice as well. Cassiopeia should be able to catch up as long as he's able to get some farm in him.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that Perks has gone down to the bottom lane and played on that side when he's already taking the tower, because the last outer turret for G2 here, it's top lane. That's the target for them. They can put Caitlyn up there and use her to try and take it down, but Perks is your strong member. He's the man you want to play around, so he needs to be in the lane where you actually want to take down the objective.
Very tight timings here, actually. Asher only a few seconds away from being available. You have to imagine that would force a first flash, but thankfully for him, that arrow not available, was used fruitlessly in the last fight. Stays okay for now.
Couple of crucial, team fighting items coming in here for G2 as well. Ivern is the support man for this squad. The Locket plus the Redemption, at 20 minutes is a very big spike if you do get caught up in one of these jungle fights.
Let's see what comes in next. As you mentioned, jungle fights are very good. Faker just now in a power clip with his blue buff. That Baron has, of course, Fawn, but looks like G2 are not in a position to fight for it yet.
Yeah, and with this lane assignment from G2, they don't really have any map pressure at the moment. They're just kind of catching waves, despite actually being the one with the very fed mid laner. If they put Perks top lane, keep the Caitlyn mid, then they still have these 3 winning lanes, or at least lanes where you can put some pressure. Caitlyn can just hold mid and wave clear, and then top lane is where Perks can push in Faker, and you can actually take that tower.
Yeah, and
he's on his way now.
Even with those advantages, you look at it from SKT's side, and you kind of have to marvel at how the poise of this team. Even being down 4 kills on Faker early on, they're still so close to goal, still have that Infernal Drake, and still are keeping up their side wave pressure. They're the ones actually getting the first pushes on these waves.
Exactly. You just saw that top lane where Perks has no interest whatsoever in pushing into Faker there. He's 3 kills to 0-4, and he's like, yeah, I will trade minions with you. Maybe we'll meet up again later.
Now, he knows, though, that Tahm Kench can come in and join as well, and suddenly it's multiple members from G2. So Perks should feel confident that getting the control on the river, this is exactly the setup we wanted to see. We just talked about Perks near that tower they want to kill. He's the strong member. He's the man that needs to carry them forward.
They do have to watch out for all of the counter crowd control. Galio ult is definitely something that can trap you. Zyra will set him up. They can keep him in the area for a long time. So tempered aggression is what's needed from G2 to try and keep up their advantage.
And they need to make sure they don't just give up the mid lane either. You want to keep that wave in the middle near the river, just push it down so there's no tower down for SKT, and then you can move first with the Tahm Kench ulti.
See what moves can happen right now. G2 have been afraid to pull the trigger on that top lane outer turret. Instead, looks like they're going to play around this Infernal Drake spawning in just 1 minute. They'd love to equalize the advantage that SKT got.
And SKT should make the adaptation to bring Faker down around this area if they have any intention of even, getting vision down there, because otherwise G2 can force away from him and he's no way he can join that fight. They are giving up the top turret in exchange for trying to get down to that Drake.
Yeah, as you can see, Huni with the teleport is top side. Perks did get that down to about a half, so maybe that can be attacked again. Nice stun onto Sven. No fight in the mid lane. Here comes a flash follow. Peanut wants to the knockback. It's there. Beautiful execution. And Wolf takes down Sven. Will the fight continue? It's a 5v4 and the map. Huni is not teleported in. Tripped down to 1,000.
It looks so easy when SKT sets up a play like that. It's just chaining the CC and the knock-up. Sven didn't even get to a flash. He thought he was safe enough. He did not expect so many members to go flying over that wall and just keep him in place. Perfect timing as well. Infernal Drake just about to spawn.
Absolutely beautiful from SKT. They rotate Faker down to the mid lane. They use all of their crowd control in succession, what we kept cautioning against, and now they easily, it seems, are able to rack up the second Infernal Drake. Meanwhile, top lane, though, Mithy has eaten Huni.
Yep, decent damage there on a tank, still has flash, not choosing to use it to get away from the equalizer. Burns it now and jumps over the wall. He should be just fine. Expect though, actually wants to chase and takes him down. Huni did not flash in time into the mid lane. A kill for Perks as well, but the chase is on and Trick might be dropping with this one as well. The slow is there. Should be a quick 2 kills. Can Sven stop any of it as Faker wants him in this one. Double kill quickly for Peanut. Now Mithy on the wrong side of this one. Pops the shield, won't matter. Peanut flashing the chase. Gonna get that one picked up. Bang, next one to the block, but he's gonna survive it and will not go down. SKT smash that fight open.
Bang is insane! Are you kidding me? They're going for Baron after this as well. Sven is up the load man defense.
He knows it's a 1v3. He's got some room to work with. There's no hard CC left available. Just getting us a flash away from that one. The arrow would come back for Bang. And it's still a lot of damage onto this Baron buff right now. Can't zone in, can't get much done as long as fight is up. It's him! Oh! It was a close timer, but Peanut gets it. And SKT now with a commanding lead.
All right, we all saw that one. We all saw that one. This whole thing, though, started when Bang hits the arrow on Sven. It forces then G2 to make a play on top because they can't get Drake, and everyone is now split up. Wolf, no flash, he goes down, but you can see on your minimap, Sven is coming from base, and 2 other guys from G2 coming from top lane.
And look at that, no hesitation from Bang. Flashes right over, absolutely melts G2 here, racks up the kills, and chases off all new coming challengers.
And it's these very quick plays Mithy wanted to avoid. He wanted a calculated play, but like, okay, now we can set up for Drake, now we go for top tower, and then when an engage happens they don't expect, SKT just turns it on, and it's very quick decisions happening right now at a very high level, and suddenly SKT now sits with Baron buff.
Exactly, and we continue to marvel at the mid-game poise of SKT. No hesitation, complete accuracy in pulling off play after play after play. Now they're the ones with Baron, double Infernal Drakes, and a 3,000 gold lead. Just like that, SK Telecom, complete control of this game.
So Sven in the end used the flash against the Ash arrow. He's sitting right now thinking to himself, why didn't I just flash the first one? Could have avoided this entire thing. But now it happened, and now SKT are going for mid tower.
Looks like there's no chance to defend that one at all. SKT with complete confidence able to keep pushing up to this one. Gold lead already about 4,000. Completely flipping what had happened in the early game. Faker still a KDA below 1. Doesn't matter. It's the team play that's important. SKT have it in spades here. They will stop short of mid lane tier 2 for now. G2 may have run out of steam already.
Well, let's see if they can bounce back. It's not the same like super late game scaling comp we saw in the group stage. It's just Ivan here who's kind of protecting in terms of shields, and then of course Tap Kench with Devour. But no one is really buffing up Sven. There's no Nuno block for him. It's more on Perks than expect as well.
Even then it's a gold deficit. You feel like Cassiopeia is going to outscale the Jace, and even Sven is down about 1,400 gold under Bang right here, so that Ashe is going to take off flying.
And again, I keep bringing up how many tools SKT actually have, how much crowd control. It makes life of these carries on G2 extremely difficult, having to navigate around so many different cooldowns.
And how often we've seen this again, when G2 or whatever team is facing SKT in the first game are getting early advantages. No panic from SKT's side. They didn't manage to outplay them in the mid game and take back that goal lead. And we're still only 27 minutes into the game. Like, it's still early. And now these teams are suddenly not as even as we saw earlier in the game.
The first 22 minutes are up for grabs, but the Nexus almost always belongs to SKT and looking to close out game one. Eventually, very frequently, very dead. Yeah, goodbye Daisy, sorry. Pushing up Daisies at this point, I guess. Either way though, SKT, though they end the games with both their Barons, have actually stopped with only one turret on this one. Mid-outer was their only grab, so G2 have defended pretty well. And as his Baron times out in just a few more seconds, be back to close to equal footing, 3,500.
Faker no flash.
Yeah, Faker wants his revenge, but he's in the
Waiting in the flash. Stun hits the tank. Mithy's an okay target for this one. So far, so good. Walks through just a slow on his back. Spec still zoned out by Peanut. Will they go for the play here? Spec now no way out. He has to flash over. Huni wants the top, but the Naga Tank quite landed yet, but it's still some decent damage. Will they chase into the corridors? 6.5 HP. Disengage for SKT.
Yeah, if SKT had the arrow, still maybe pull the trigger on that. You can see Lee Sin going in for one of the kickbacks, and having the damage reductions of Galio just adds so much, comfort there if you are trying to make that big play. But holding off a bit, gonna farm the map.
Also like all the ninja tab you see on SKT, they know they're getting so much physical damage. Jace's lethality from the Ghost Blade is not going to do a whole lot once you start getting some of these small armor items in. Even Bang just got hit by Shock Blast, but the shield from Lee Sin was actually enough to keep Bang just at full HP.
And let's toggle the vision for a moment here. G2 playing against SKT, they have almost no area of the map they feel comfortable in. It's entirely dark. Their own jungle is dark and full of terrors at the moment, and Perkz wandering through, trying to get some semblance of control back for the team.
Definitely a difficult road ahead for the European LCS's #1 team for 3 splits in a row. G2 Esports finally getting some international success. Honestly performing better than most expectations, but for now, as this game against SKT, it is about their good early game and SKT's mid-game comeback, but this one is still within reach for both squads.
Yeah.
And the Drake spawning now. Let's see, G2 has 1 cloud to their name, but SKT with double Inferno, certainly the better stats right now.
That's the thing, G2 Esports, they can't afford to lose another fight. The next big team fight, they have to win it. And then hopefully get something more. Maybe it's a Baron, maybe it's a few towers. Engage, going wide, but both going in as well.
Only gonna get the knockup on a Mithy though. Huni in the front line looking for the tank. Still gonna be a nice taunt on a couple of them. Perkz still waiting in the wings. Can't find a ton of poke though, and Huni too durable to be pushed out of this one. G2 still got the inside track on the mid lane. But will there be much to be stopped for this one? Peanut not gonna go for the play. There's no one around him.
Yeah,
they go.
Almost half of the crowd control missing here for SKT as G2 good evasive maneuvers to avoid the Ash Arrow, avoid the Flash Zyra, and be able to retreat.
But we can see how little damage they actually deal onto Huni when he jumps in. Sven right now is trying to get, further into this late game. A little baity to see if you can force maybe a flash.
Yeah, maybe flash to devour, something like that. It's a nice little play there. Peanut gets nothing for it though. Red buff gonna be grabbed cleanly by Trick, and someone can walk over to get that one a little bit later. I am still a little bit surprised with, as you mentioned, several of the important ultimates being used up by SKT without much purchase, and G2 still say we don't want to fight. Even if half your ults are gone, we're still afraid of SKT.
It's because SK Telecom never blow everything at the same time. The Ashe and Zyra used offensively, Faker's got his trump card. The disengaged Cassiopeia ultimate ready for that G2 aggression, and they don't get baited into it. Now, if you are also able to play, like Perkz did earlier, in lane and bait out that Cassiopeia ultimate, then you get to check all of the boxes and try and actually then win the DPS fight.
It's also some of the limitation of the G2 comp that we talked about much earlier, how they had to really get rolling in the early game with the Jace, because playing Jace in the late game is very, very difficult. You're not tanky enough to just jump in hammer form in melee range to the back line. So you have to kind of poke around and then hope someone is out of position. But SKT, when they're the ones engaging, it's hard for Perkz to kind of find that one guy he can actually try and dive onto.
Oh, that scaling of the Cassiopeia we talked about is definitely in full effect. He was able to stabilize and farm. He's almost level 18 now and feeling quite confident as they head right back down the mid lane. Gonna let Faker purchase here. Even though G2 have got some important vision around Baron, it's mostly just gonna stall out until SKT move in again. Huni already pushing down bottom to create that cross-map pressure.
Might be
Go
the
ahead.
objective here, Freak, for G2 Esports to try and force something. They're actually just starting it straight away.
Uh-oh. They're going to hope for a bad play out of SKT, but they're coming right away, so it's going to be a quick disengage and a quick turnaround to get the fight to happen. Can they get anything to happen? Stun's going to land on the front line. Peanut now in the front as well. Here comes Huni, a heroic dive in. And a great knockup as well. The follow-through is in. Look at the damage there, but they've already picked up one as expected. Dad and SKT continue to exert the damage output. Minty's going to be next up soon. Perks will get a trade kill for one, but Trick running out of health, and Sven can't get much down either. Perks going to hope to make a little bit of edges on this one, but Huni's still on the chase. Peanut as well. The kill comes in. Triple for the SKT jungler. Bang will be felled. But Sven is next up on the chopping block. He can't get away from this one. Faker hoping to make the kill happen, and he will make it go. 4-2 advantage SKT.
Perks has been able to take out the backline there with the AD carry and support, but SKT 3 members control of the Baron area, and Huni can easily tank it.
That was the best fight possible for Perks, because he was actually left to go towards these squishes here. The problem for Perks is the rest of his team behind him couldn't do anything against this engage with Huni coming down with the Galio. Hit multiple members with the knockup, followed up by the Zyra.
Exactly. The layers of crowd control we see from this composition from SKT utilized effectively there. Perks, though, he does get 2 kills back and a turret back for G2. SKT, let's see what they can do with this Baron buff, because they're definitely coming for at least secondary turrets.
It's a red buff on Perks and a top catch.
And Huni's running low on mana, no flash as well. This is likely to be an actual kill picked up onto the SKT's top lane tank. Maybe going to kidnap for a little bit longer, but look how long it takes to kill him. Going to go back for the crowd control. The Asher coming by, not going to land on much though, and G2 actually just have to disengage. They get nothing for it.
The benefits of building full tank there. Galio, nigh indestructible, as SKT are back out on the offensive.
7,000 gold lead, Baron buff on mid lane. Tier 2 immediately going to drop for this one, and G2 may have to surrender even more of their base. It's already rare form. It took more than one Baron for SKT to win this game, but yeah, they're certainly so far ahead. And you mentioned the scaling before with the Cassiopeia. Faker has gone from 0-4-0, picking up 2 kills and 5 assists without a death. Watch the fight again.
Let's try and see how much damage Bang and Faker actually deals here on these carries of G2, because they get in at first with all the knockup, but then the Rumble forces Bang away, and it's Faker just diving in with Huni and Peanut. Aggressive move from him, so even with Perks killing the mod lane of SKT, because Faker played so aggressive in the fight, SKT had enough damage to take down the backline of G2.
Yeah, and even just trying to count the time there that G2 spent knocked up by SK Telecom crowd control.
They actually walked into that Galio ulti. They could have stepped away from it with at least 4 of the players, but they got hit by it, follow-up CC, and then you all will die.
You can see decent numbers had come out, but look at just down the line. Everyone in SKT actually performing pretty nicely. Peanut, most kills in the game, second most damage of his team in that fight. Second most damage of anyone in that fight, as he did out-damage Sven and Perks. And the Lee Sin, though it didn't have quite the same early impact that Trix Ivern did, he's certainly done incredibly well in the mid to late game eras. SKT are actually still taking their time with this one, though. This is a much more tempered game than ones I had seen from SKT earlier on.
And I like the decision here to go AP Zyra and not like the Redemption Locket Zyra, because you are against this comp that wants to like kite with the Ivern, extra shields coming in. Having another damage dealer from your support is actually very smart, especially because you bring some more magic damage to the table. It's Peanut who's gone for the Locket in this game here.
Definitely makes sense. Good, clever, and efficient use of resources. Jungler not required. Faker solos the Elder Dragon. Did not get to play the Elder Dragon team in the finals here. It was G2 who took them down, but Faker gets one anyway.
And now we'll see if SKT actually wants to go for a dive with the Elder Dragon plus Baron combo, or just clean up the outer resources here. Still working on the top lane is Huni with the Galio. Technically, he does have teleport and ultimate available, but SKT on all fronts pushing in.
Mid lane inhibitor gonna fall with one more auto attack. Down it goes. And SKT have cracked the base. 12,000 gold lead. Inhibitor likely to fall as well. Baron buff still on for a few more seconds. SKT managed to use every piece of it, and hit falls.
Getting one in here is so important to put some more pressure in the mid lane without even having any champions there. SKT gets top tower as well. Baron buff is gone now. Still have the Elder Drake buff, so it's hard for G2 to actually fight back.
Not much fighting back has been had by G2 for the last 18 minutes of this game. Once Baron spawned, it felt like they lost direction, and SKT off one good team fight wrested control and just simply never looked back. Wolf chunk to half, perks the entirety of G2's early gold lead, has been unable to carry the game the rest of the way through. SKT's team fighting just been too good. Siege now continues as the Elder Dragon buff burns down. Kills one yet for Peanut, but the siege continues the next wave.
Yeah, G2 kind of waiting for someone to step on the traps here so Sven can get some proper damage onto them. But Perks is also busy on the other side, trying to go for Peanut, so there's no real target here for G2.
And look at that drop down. Even though, well, it looks like they're going to force some cooldowns out of G2.
G1 to mid, he's going to have to pop the shield, still low on health, going to get a quick heal to stay alive, but that's someone heal down for Sven.
Even though you feel like SKT have been a bit, slower, a bit more measured than usual, that was a 7.8 thousand gold Baron power play that they had.
They clean up the map now. Bang out of mana. The fight going to come in. Not quite a kill on the Wolf though. Perks hoping for an opening. Not going to have it though. Spec low. Mithy as well. The kill comes through for Bang. And another one in the back line as well. 2 for 0. SKT going to close it out right now. Hootie flashing out of the Nexus turret, hoping to take them all down, and he will do so. Look at the kills left, right, and center. The ace is completed. No one dead for SKT, and the dominance continues as South Korea's SK Telecom T1 will close out Game 1.
A very, very good start from G2 Esports, picking up kills in the mid lane, getting the advantage. But when they had to then step into the mid game, where Mithy said, we do not want to take any chances, when it's played slow and steady. They tried, but Sven got arrowed in the mid lane. They lost the Drake, they tried to force a play on top, and suddenly SKT, with much faster shot calling, managed to find fights and kills and then Baron.
This is what I like more than slow and steady, is SKT off of one fight just erase all memories of what an early game lead may have looked like for G2. One single kill on Sven turned into a minute later about 7 more kills and a Baron picked up, and now SKT's 5,000 ahead, and slightly exaggerating, but that's essentially the story of this game.
And you can see what G2, want to do at